All right, guys, I currently have over 850 members who are signed up and active on my website at Pt.2. And if you want to know what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website, I'll explain a little bit more about it at the end of the video. But in the meantime, I just want to take this time to welcome you to the video. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal bets on Pt.2, and I have packages on that website beginning at just $1.99. And if you want to access today's $1.99 daily best play, the link for that bet is in the description section below. And if you want to see my current sports betting record, you can also do that for free right now by going to the homepage at Pt.2. It's located there for free right there at the bottom of the homepage. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some more free baseball content. We're going to go ahead and start off with the Yankees taking on the Red Sox, 7:05 Eastern first pitch on Friday, April 15th, 2022. New York's minus 190 with the total at 9 runs. Jordan Montgomery for New York. Jordan Lyles for Baltimore. Now, Lyles is 0-1 with a 9 ERA and 3 walks. Now, this Baltimore pitching staff is currently in the bottom 10 in opponents' batting average, and they're also amongst the worst in the American League in striking batters out per 9. Meanwhile, offensively on the other side of things, the O's have arguably one of the worst lineups in baseball right now. They're dead last in home runs per contest, and they're actually striking out a dozen times a game at the plate on average. They're taking on a tough Yankees pitching staff who's actually in the top 10 themselves in striking batters out. Now, the Yankees also find themselves allowing less than 3 runs a game, and they're also limiting their competition to a 197 batting average at the plate. Now, offensively, the Bombers are led by Anthony Rizzo, who's actually hit 3 home runs already and knocked in 7. Meanwhile, Aaron Hicks, he's batting .353 with 3 walks and 9 total bases. When it comes to hitting the long ball in this one, this Yankees lineup is currently in the top 10 in home runs per contest. Now, total-wise, 5 out of New York's last 7 fell under the posted number. Meanwhile, Baltimore is 6-0 to the under in their last 6 themselves. I'm going to lean toward New York minus 1.5 and the under 9 runs. Next matchup, it is going to be A's versus the Blue Jays, 7:07 Eastern first pitch. Toronto's minus 175, totals 9.5. Ross Stripling for Toronto. Dalton Jeffries for Oakland. Now, Jeffries is 1-0 on the season with a .80 whip. The righties also allowed 0 earned runs thus far in the year. When it comes to offensive production, the A's have been one of the highest scoring teams in the majors. They're averaging nearly 6.5 runs per contest, and they're also in the top 10 in home runs. Elvis Andrus is batting .308 with 4 doubles and 7 runs scored. Meanwhile, teammate Seth Brown, he's hit a pair of homers and knocked in 8. Now, they're taking on a Toronto team who's had trouble giving up the long ball themselves. They're actually in the bottom 10 in home runs allowed per 9. And they also find themselves in the bottom 5 in opponents' OPS. Ross Stripling also walked 3 batters in his season debut, and he currently has an ERA of 9 flat. Now, total-wise, 2 out of Toronto's last 3 home games got over the posted number. Meanwhile, Oakland, on the other side of things, saw 3 out of their last 4 outings get over the line themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Oakland plus 1.5. And the over 9 runs. Next contest I have for you, it is going to be Giants taking on the Guardians, 7:10 p.m. East. San Francisco's minus 140, totals 8 runs. Zach Plesac for the Guardians, Carlos Rodon for San Francisco. And even though Rodon struck out a whole bunch of batters in his season debut, he did still end up failing to get the W. And the Giants have also struggled getting runners on base this year. The San Francisco lineup currently averages nearly double-digit strikeouts a game at the plate. Now they're taking on a Cleveland pitching staff on the other side of things who actually finds themselves in the top 3 in the league in opponents' OPS. Now, they're also doing a really nice job keeping runners off the base paths. The Guardians are limiting their competition to a 199 batting average this year. And they've also got Zach Plesac on the mound here today, who's yet to give up an earned run. So certainly a lot of things going right for Cleveland backers here. And as a matter of fact, Zach Plesac walked 0 batters in just under 6 innings of work this year. And he also has a whip of .53. Now, when it comes to offensive production, Cleveland scores more runs per game than any other team in the majors. Owen Miller's hit 2 home runs and has an OPS of 1.593. Meanwhile, Jose Ramirez has a 1.576 OPS himself, thanks to 3 homers and 14 RBI. Now, the Guardians as a team, they're hitting a staggering .308 at the plate. Tough to get these guys out. Now, total-wise, 4 out of Cleveland's last 6 got over the posted number. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland plus 1.5 in the over 8 runs. Next matchup, it is going to be Rays versus the White Sox, 7:10 p.m. East. Chicago's minus 120, totals 8 runs. Dylan Cease for Chicago, Drew Rasmussen for Tampa Bay. Now, Drew failed to get the W in his season debut. 4.50 ERA for the righty right now. Now, Tampa Bay's had some difficulty with their pitching in the early going here as well. These guys are actually in the bottom 10 in runs allowed per contest right now. Now, the Rays are currently on a 2-game losing streak, and they also dropped 3 out of their last 4. They're taking on a White Sox team who won 4 out of their last 5 themselves, and they're actually amongst the better scoring teams in the American League. Luis Robert, or Luis Robert, or Luis Robert, or Luis Robert, however you want to say it. There is a right and a wrong way to say it, but I always say Luis Robert. He's hit a couple of homers and scored 6 times. He's the guy who's got 2 first names, kind of like Ricky Bobby. But anyway, teammate Andrew Vaughn, he's hit a couple of home runs and knocked in 6. Now, pitching-wise, the White Sox are fanning nearly 11 batters a game, and they're actually limiting their competition to a 199 team batting average. Dylan Cease, he's 1-0 on the year with a 1.80 ERA and 8 strikeouts. And when it comes to the total, 2 out of Chicago's last 3 home games fell under the posted number. Meanwhile, Tampa's 4-3 to the under for the entire season themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox minus $1.20 and the under 8 runs. Next ball game, Angels, Rangers, 8:05 East. Both teams are minus $1.10 with the total at 10 runs. Reed Detmer for the Angels, Matt Bush for Texas. Now, Detmer comes into today's start with a 4.50 ERA, as this Angels pitching staff has had some problems keeping the ball in the park. LA's currently in the bottom 3 in homers allowed per 9. Now, this LA pitching staff's also allowing nearly 5.5 runs a game. They're taking on a Texas lineup who loves to hit the long ball, and they put an awful lot of runners across the plate. Jonah Heim's hit a pair of homers and has 8 RBI on the season. Meanwhile, teammate Brad Miller, he has a couple of home runs himself and 5 RBI as well. Now, this Rangers lineup is currently averaging 6.5 runs a game, and they're actually amongst the best in the American League in OPS. Now, pitching-wise, this Rangers pitching staff, they're striking out just about double-digit batters a game. So we're seeing pretty good production in both facets of the game. And when it comes to the total in this one, 2 out of the Rangers' last 3 at Globe Life Field got over the line. They're also 4-2 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Texas minus $1.10 and the over 10 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be Tigers versus the Royals, 8:10 p.m. East. Kansas City's minus $1.25, totals 8.5. Brad Keller for the Royals, Tarek Skubal for Detroit. Now, Scoobs is 0-1 with a 9 ERA, and this Detroit pitching staff, they're actually the worst in the majors in strikeouts. The Tigers are allowing nearly 5.5 runs a game as well. Meanwhile, offensively, on the other side of things, this Detroit lineup is lacking significant power right now. They're scoring only 3.5 runs a game. and they currently rank in the bottom 5 in home runs. They're taking on Brad Keller, who struck out 5 batters in his season debut, and he also has a .50 whip. Now, Keller's also yet to allow an earned run. When it comes to the hitting in this one, Andrew Benintendi's batting .381 with 4 RBI and 11 total bases. Meanwhile, Salvi Perez, he hit a couple of homers and has 10 total bases himself. This Kansas City lineup also does not strike out much. They do a pretty good job making contact. They're actually leading the majors in fewest strikeouts at the plate per 9. When it comes to the number in this one, 3 out of Kansas City's last 4 got over the posted total. Meanwhile, the Tigers saw overs recently against the likes of Boston and the Chicago White Sox. I'm going to lean toward Kansas City minus $1.25, and the over 8.5 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be Cardinals versus the Brewers, 8:10 p.m. East. Milwaukee's minus 145, totals 8.5. Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee, Miles Mikolas for St. Louis. And regardless of how Mikolas ends up pitching, this is a St. Louis lineup who can outscore anyone, pretty much anyone they go up against. They're currently leading the majors in homers per contest, and they're also in the top 3 in OPS. Nolan Arenado has hit 3 home runs, and he also has 9 RBI. Now, Arenado currently has an OPS of 1.429 as well. Meanwhile, Tommy Edman has a couple of home runs along with an OPS of 1.337. When it comes to the scoring in this one, the Cards are averaging over 5.3 runs per contest. Now, they're taking on a Milwaukee team who struggled to hit the baseball themselves. They're currently averaging under 3.5 runs a game, and they're amongst the worst in the bigs in homers per contest. Now, pitching-wise, Freddie Peralta walked 4 batters in 4 innings of work. Also a .675 ERA for the righty right now. When it comes to the total in this one, 5 out of Milwaukee's last 7 did fall under the posted number. They also averaged less than 3.5 runs per contest in their last 10 meetings with the Cardinals. Meanwhile, St. Louis, on the other side of things, they saw 6 out of those 10 head-to-head meetings I just mentioned fall under the posted total as well. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. I'm going to lean towards St. Louis plus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next ball game, Cubs, Rockies, 8:40 East. Colorado's minus 120, totals 10 runs. German Marquez for Colorado. Marcus Stroman for Chicago. Now, Stroman's got a 1.80 ERA and a 1.00 whip. Excuse me, this Cubbies pitching staff also allows just 3 runs per contest. And they've done a nice job keeping the ball in the ballpark. Now, offensively, Seiya Suzuki's hit 3 home runs and has double-digit RBI. Meanwhile, Ian Happ's batting .471 with an OPS of 1.138. Now, no real surprise here. The Chicago lineup's in the top 10 in runs per game. Now, they're taking on a Colorado pitching staff who's recorded very little strikeouts per 9. They're actually in the bottom 5 in striking batters out this year. And the Rockies have also given up 4 runs or more in 3 out of their last 4 ball games. Now, offensively, the Rockies have played 4 contests at Coors Field this year, and they still rank amongst the worst in the National League in homers per game. So even in that light, Rocky Mountain air, they haven't been able to get the ball out of the ballpark. Now, total-wise, Colorado's 5-1 to the under in their last 6 outings. Meanwhile, the Cubs have gone 3-0 to the under in their last 3 on the road. I'm going to lean toward Chicago plus $1 and the under 10 runs. Next matchup, Braves, Padres, 9:40 p.m. East. Both teams are minus $1.10 with the total at 8.5. Kyle Wright for Atlanta, Mackenzie Gore for San Diego. Now, Gore is making his debut here this evening for the Padres. He allowed a couple of homers and 6 earned runs during spring training. Now, the Pods also dropped 2 out of their last 3, and they've showed a significant lack of power early in the season here. And as a matter of fact, the Pods are currently amongst the worst teams in the National League in home runs per contest. Now, they're taking on an Atlanta squad who's got Kyle Wright on the bump here this evening. He's got a 1-0 record with 6 strikeouts and a .50 whip. Wright's also given up 0 earned runs thus far in the season. Now, when it comes to the hitting in this one, Matt Olson's batting .407 for Atlanta with a 1.172 OPS. Meanwhile, Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, and Ozzie Albies each have multiple home runs apiece. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, 6 out of Atlanta's last 8 got over the line. Meanwhile, San Diego saw 3 out of their last 5 get over the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Atlanta minus $1.10 in the over 8.5. Next ball game, Astros Mariners 9:42 East. Houston's minus $1.20, totals 8.5. Jake Odorizzi for the Astros, Marco Gonzalez for Seattle. Now Marco's 0-1 in the year with a 9 ERA in just 2 innings of work. And when it comes to keeping the baseball inside of the park, the Mariners are actually the worst team in baseball to do that. They're allowing more home runs per contest on average than any other team in baseball. Meanwhile, offensively, Seattle's scoring they're scoring just 3.2 runs per contest, and they're batting only .192 as a team. Now, they're taking on a Houston squad who's been nearly impossible to score against themselves. They're leading the big leagues in fewest runs allowed per contest. They're also in the top 10 in keeping the ball inside of the park. And when it comes to the hitting in this one, Alex Bregman and Kyle Tucker, they each have a pair of home runs apiece. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Houston's gone 5-1 to the under thus far in this season. Meanwhile, Seattle saw 5 out of their last 7 fall under the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Houston minus $1.20 and the under 8.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup of the show. It is going to be Reds versus the Dodgers, 10:10 Eastern start time. Now, Los Angeles is minus 235, totals 9 runs. Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers, Vlad Gutierrez for Cincinnati. Now, Vlad's 0-1 on the year with a 4.15 ERA and a 1.85 whip. This Reds pitching staff has also been brutal thus far in the early going. They're allowing nearly 6.5 runs per contest, and they find themselves in the bottom 3 in opponents' OPS. They're taking on a Dodger team on the other side of things who actually loves to hit the baseball. They're currently in the top 3 in batting average, and they're scoring nearly 6 runs a game on average. Gavin Lux is batting .333 with 5 RBI and double-digit total bases. Meanwhile, Chris Taylor's batting .350 with 3 extra base hits and 11 total bases as well. When it comes to the pitching, this Dodgers pitching staff leads the entire league in opponents' batting average. They're actually limiting their competition to a 192 batting average at the plate. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, 6 out of LA's last 10 meetings with Cincinnati got over the line. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. They also saw 3 out of their last 4 ball games this season get over the posted total as well. Meanwhile, Cincinnati has gone 6-1 to the over for the entire year themselves. I'm going to lean toward Los Angeles minus 1.5 and the over 9 runs. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Pt.2. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet that I give out on that website, you're going to want to sign up for my board member tier package. Now, guys, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on BrockPage.com is I actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at BrockPage.com.